Hello students, welcome back. In this video, we will talk about the all-time favorite topic of students, the space, which covers the moon, stars, constellations, the solar system and artificial satellites. Let's begin with celestial objects. Celestial objects are the outer space objects. The natural satellite of Earth is the moon. The moon revolves around the earth in a definite path known as the orbit. At the same time, it does spins on its own axis. This is known as rotation. Moon takes 27.3 days to complete one rotation on its own axis. This same time, that is 27.3 days, it takes to complete one revolution around the earth. The diameter of earth is 12,742 km and diameter of moon is 3,474 km. That means moon is only 27% of the size of earth. Its mass is only 1/8 of earth and the distance from moon to earth is 3,84,000 km. Moon is the closest celestial body to earth. From earth we see the various shapes of the bright sides of moon. This is known as the phases of moon. These shapes we can see from one full moon day to the next full moon day. When we can see the whole disk of moon from earth, we call it as a full moon day. From the next day, the brighter part becomes thinner and thinner and on the 15th day, it becomes invisible. This is known as the new moon day. Now let's discover what are the reasons behind the occurrence of these phases of moon. Moon has no light of its own. It reflects the sunlight falling on it. It reflects the sunlight towards the earth. We know that moon revolves around the earth and earth revolves around the sun. The side of the earth which faces sun experiences the day and on the other side the night. Similarly, the side of the moon faces the sun becomes bright and the other side it is dark. So the moon reflects the sunlight falling on it towards the earth and we see only the sunlit portion of the moon. This is the reason for the various shapes of moon. The phases of moon is due to the relative position of sun, moon and earth. The moment when moon reaches nearest to the sun, the side of moon which faces sun becomes lit and on the other side, that is the side which faces the earth, becomes dark. So for a person who is watching moon from earth, it is in complete darkness. We cannot see the moon. That is known as the new moon day. As the moon revolves around the earth, it changes its position. When it reaches here, we can see only a small sunlit portion of the moon. As it moves further, we can see that the sunlit portion of the bright side becomes bigger and bigger. This is the increasing phase or waxing phase. And it results in half moon or more than half moon. And on the 15th day, this moon reaches a position farthest from the sun. Then the side facing the sun is completely lit and for a person who is watching the moon from earth, we can see the full disk of moon. This is known as the full moon day. Then it moves further and the bright part becomes thinner and thinner and this is known as the decreasing phase or waning phase and this cycle continues. Now let's learn about the surface of moon. The surface of moon is covered with hard and loose dirt. It is covered with dead volcanoes, lava flows and craters. These craters are formed due to the collision by asteroids or meteors. In a moon, there are huge and steep mountains. The dark part of the moon is known as Maria, which means sea. Even though they are not sea, they are formed by lava flows. Moon has no air, no atmosphere, hence no weather. Moon has no water. The days in moons are extremely hot and nights are extremely cold. Now let's move on to the stars. The stars have their own light and they are extremely hot. They emit heat and light. They are much bigger when compared to Earth. There are stars bigger than Sun, but they appear very small as they are very far away from Earth. The nearest star to Earth is the Sun, and the distance between the Sun and Earth is 149.51 million kilometers. The stars appear to move in a direction from east to west. We know sun rises in the east and sets in the west. Similarly, stars appear to move in the direction from east to west. This is due to the rotation of Earth in the opposite direction. That means Earth rotates in west to east. That's why stars appear to move in east to west. There is only one star in the sky which appears to be stationary. This is known as the pole star or Dhruvatara. This pole star appears to be stationary as it lies on the axis of Earth. The axis of Earth is fixed. That's why pole star is stationary. The distance between various celestial bodies is expressed in terms of light years. Light year is the total distance traveled by the light in 1 year. This light year can be determined in the terms of kilometers. 1 light year is equal to speed of light into number of seconds in 1 year. That results in 9.46 into 10 to the power of 12 kilometers. We learned that the distance between Earth and Sun is around 150 million kilometers. The sunlight from Sun takes 8 minutes to reach Earth. The nearest star to Earth is Sun and the next nearest star is Alpha Centauri. The distance between Alpha Centauri to Earth is 4.3 light years. Alpha Centauri is not a single star, it's a triplet system. It contains 3 stars bound together by gravity. Alpha Centauri A, Alpha Centauri B and Proxima Centauri, which is the dim companion. Let's move on to constellations. If we observe the stars carefully, we can see stars forming groups with shapes. These shapes of the groups of stars is known as constellations. Constellations appear to move from east to west direction. There are constellations similar to the shapes of animals or human beings or objects familiar to us. These constellations do not have a fixed number of stars, but a few stars are bright and can be visible to the naked eye. The others are more far away from Earth. There are some important constellations like Ursa Major, Orion, Cassiopeia and Leo Major, which we are going to study in detail. Let's move on to Ursa Major constellation. This constellation is visible during summer nights. Early part of the night we can see these Ursa Major constellations. This is the third largest constellation. It is also known as Big Bear, Big Dipper, Great Bear, and Plough. There are 7 bright stars in this constellation. It is like a ladle. 3 stars in the handle of the ladle and 4 stars in the bowl. There is another constellation near to this Ursa Major, which is known as the Ursa Minor constellation, which has the pole star in it. And this Ursa Major constellation appears to revolve around this pole star. Next, Orion constellation. This constellation is visible during winter late evenings. This is known as Hunter and Indian name is Mriga. It contains the largest number of bright stars. It appears to be a hunter on his knees. And the brightest star in the sky is the Sirius. This Sirius is located near to Orion constellation. If we want to locate this Sirius, just draw a straight line passing through the 3 stars in the Orion constellation and look along that line towards the east, then we can locate the Sirius star. Let's move on to Cassiopeia Constellation. This Cassiopeia Constellation is visible in the northern sky. It is visible during winter late evenings. And it is named after Queen Cassiopeia in Greek mythology, who boasted about her beauty. It contains 5 main stars. It appears to be in the shape of an M or W. Let's move on to Leo Major Constellation. This constellation is visible during summer late evenings. And Leo constellation has 9 main stars. Leo means lion. The stars are arranged in such a way that they appear to be like a big lion. Now let's learn about the solar system. The Sun and its family objects revolving around it are together known as solar system. Not only the planets but also the comets, asteroids, meteors are involved in this solar system. These planets are revolving around the Sun in an elliptical orbit. They do not have their own light. They reflect the sunlight back. And these planets revolve around the Sun due to the gravitational pull of the Sun. The time taken by a planet to complete one revolution around the Sun is termed as period of revolution, and the time taken by the planets to complete one rotation on its own axis is termed as period of rotation. Most of the planets have their own satellites. There are 8 planets in our solar system. They are Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune. Till 2006, there were 9 celestial objects considered as planets. But in August 2006, the International Astronomical Union downgraded Pluto as a dwarf planet. There are 3 criteria for a celestial body to call as a planet. 1, it has to orbit around the Sun and it should have sufficient mass to assume a round shape. And the 3rd criteria is that it should clear the neighborhood around it. That means the gravity of that planet should absorb all the objects around it as it revolves around the Sun so that it should clear the path. And Pluto fails to meet the 3rd criteria and now it is termed as a dwarf planet. And there are 4 inner planets. They are Mercury, Venus, Earth and Mars, and 4 outer planets. They are Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus and Neptune. Let's learn more about the planet Mercury. Mercury is the first planet from the Sun. It is the smallest planet. It is extremely hot as it is near to the Sun and is not visible due to the glare of Sun. Sometimes it is visible just before sunrise and just after sunset in the horizon. It has no natural satellites and it shows the shapes or faces like moon. Venus is the second planet from the Sun. It is the brightest planet. It is seen just before sunrise in the eastern sky and just after sunset in the western sky. It is termed as evening and morning star even though it is not a star. It is named after the Roman goddess of beauty. Venus is the hottest planet as it contains a lot of carbon dioxide in its atmosphere which traps all the heat radiations from the sun. And the clouds in the Venus composed of droplets of sulfuric acid. The temperature in Venus is around 465 degrees centigrade, which is enough to melt lead. And it takes 225 Earth days to complete one revolution around the Sun, and 243 Earth days to complete one rotation on its own axis. That means one day in Venus is longer than 1 year. Now, our Earth. We know that Earth is the only planet in which life exists in our solar system. There are some reasons for that. The Earth is at right distance from the Sun and it has the right temperature to support life. It has water in it. It has atmosphere and ozone layer to protect from ultraviolet radiations. The axis of Earth is not perpendicular to its orbit. It has a slight tilt. This tilt is responsible for the changes in seasons. And the plane which passes through the equator is known as the equatorial plane, and the plane with which the Earth revolves around the Sun is known as the orbital plane. The equatorial plane and the orbital plane inclined at an angle of 23.5 degrees. Now Mars. Mars is the fourth planet from the Sun. It is the second smallest planet. It appears to be red in color as it contains a lot of iron oxide which is prevalent in its surface. Two natural satellites Mars have. They are Phobos and Deimos. The length of a day in Mars is 24 hours and 37 minutes. And 1 year is equal to 687 Earth days. The temperature in Mars is minus 82 Fahrenheit. That means minus 27.7 degrees centigrade. Now Jupiter. Jupiter is the fifth planet from the Sun. It is the biggest planet. It is much bigger compared to Earth. The diameter of Jupiter is 11 times that of Earth and the mass is 318 times of Earth. And its atmosphere contains hydrogen and helium and ammonia and methane gas. Due to the presence of this poisonous gas, life is not at all possible in Jupiter. And Jupiter has 79 non-satellites till now. Saturn is the sixth planet from Sun. It is the least dense planet. It has density lower than that of water. If you imagine a large pool of water, the Saturn will float on that water. Viewed from Earth, Saturn has a hazy brownish yellow appearance. It has 7 rings around it. These rings are made of small chunks of ice and rocks covered with dust. Its atmosphere mainly contains hydrogen and helium. And it has 82 non-satellites in which 53 are named and 29 are awaiting confirmation. Now Uranus. Uranus is the seventh planet from the Sun. And its atmosphere contains hydrogen, helium and methane. Its diameter is 4 times that of Earth and its mass is around 14.5 times that of Earth. It has a temperature of minus 224 degrees centigrade, which makes it the coldest planet in the solar system. And its internal part is covered with ices and rocks. It has 27 non-satellites. Now Neptune. Neptune is the farthest planet from the Sun. It is the 8th planet. Its temperature is minus 218 degrees centigrade. Now you are wondering why Neptune is hotter than Uranus even though it is the farthest from the Sun. The reason is that Neptune's atmosphere contains more methane which trap the heat generated from its core. Neptune has 14 non-satellites. Besides planets, there are some other objects which revolve around the sun in our solar system. One of it is asteroid. Asteroids are small rocky objects that revolve around the sun. They are very small compared to planets. Lot of asteroids are there in our solar system. Most of these asteroids are present in the main asteroid belt, which is in between the orbits of Jupiter and Mars. They are airless remains from the formation of solar system. Now comets. Comets contain gases and dust. They revolve around the sun in highly elliptical orbit and are visible only when they come near to the sun. They are frozen remains from the formation of solar systems. When they come near to the sun, they get heated up and spews all the dust and gases, forming a glowing head. It forms a tail of gases which extends millions of kilometers from the sun. The time period of revolution of comets is large. Have you heard of Halley's Comet? Halley's Comet is visible from Earth in every 75 to 76 years. It last appeared in 1986. It is the only naked eye comet which can be visible twice in a human lifetime. Sometimes when we observe the sky, we can see bright streaks of light. They are known as shooting stars. These meteoroids are rocky and metallic remains from the formation of solar system. When these debris enter the atmosphere of Earth, the friction between the debris and the atmospheric gases heats it up to a point that it glows and visible to the naked eye. Then they are known as meteors. Sometimes they won't burn completely. Then the remains will hit the Earth, and then it is known as meteorite.
As we now know about the natural satellites of planets, let's learn about the artificial satellites. Artificial satellites are man-made spacecrafts which are placed in the orbit of Earth by launching machines like rockets. These satellites orbit Earth due to the gravity of Earth. The satellites carry equipments like cameras, infrared sensors, and telescopes. The first satellite launched by India was Aryabhatta in 1975. Other satellites are Bhaskara, INSAT, IRS, Rohini, Kalpana 1 and EduSat. Let's learn the uses of satellites. Satellites can be useful in the collection of information of other planets and stars and galaxies. Used for communication purposes for long distance transmission of TV programs, telephone calls and internet. Helpful for surveying natural resources like minerals and potential fishing zones and agricultural crops. Weather forecasting and advance warning of cyclones and floods can be done by using satellites. Let's do a quick recap. We learned about the natural satellite of Earth, the Moon. The phases of the Moon, they are the shapes of bright parts of the Moon we see from Earth, and these phases of Moon is due to the relative position of Earth, Sun and Moon. Then we learned about stars. They emit heat and light. The nearest star to Earth is Sun and it is in 150 million kilometers away. These groups of stars form shapes. They are known as constellations. There are different constellations like Ursa Major, Cassiopeia Constellation, Orion. Then we learned about the solar system. In the solar system, there are 8 planets and the meteors, asteroids and comets. Then we learned about the artificial satellites of Earth. If you like this video, please share it with your friends. If you have any queries, put it in the comment box. Thank you.